The lead in the coffins wasn't meant to keep the moisture out. It was meant to keep the radiation in. In the early 1920s, the girls at the United States Radium Corporation were told the glowing green dust was harmless. They painted watch dials with brushes, swallowing the light of 1,000 suns. Molly Maggio was the first to feel the ghost in her jaw. It started as a dull ache, a rhythmic thumping that sounded like a clock ticking inside her skull. When the dentist tried to pull a tooth, her entire jawbone crumbled in his hand like dry chalk. The light was eating her from the inside out. The company doctors claimed it was a different disease, a way to shame the girls into silence. But at night, the women noticed something terrifying. Their skin began to glow in the dark, a soft, sickly luminescence that illuminated their bedroom walls. Molly died in agony, but the weaver of this corporate nightmare wasn't finished. The company refused to pay for her burial, and they even tried to scrub her name from the records. They didn't realize that the green glow was eternal. It had a half-life of 1,600 years. Her body was a ticking bomb. 5 of her colleagues, the Radium Girls, decided to sue. They were walking corpses, their spines collapsing and their bones shattering with every step. The lawyers for the corporation dragged the case out, waiting for the girls to die so the evidence would be buried forever. But the women refused to vanish. They sat in the courtroom, their faces wrapped in bandages to hold their shattered jaws together. They were a vision of extreme horror, living ghosts seeking justice from the men who had turned them into machines. Their testimony shook the nation. "We aren't just dying," one girl whispered to the judge. "We are being woven into the fabric of the industry." She held her hand up to the light, and the court gasped. You could see the bones through her skin, glowing with a fierce, unnatural intensity. She was a human X-ray. They eventually won their case, but it was a hollow victory. Most of them died before the first check arrived. They were buried in lead-lined coffins in Illinois, hidden deep beneath the earth. The authorities hoped the silence of the soil would finally extinguish the glow. In 1978, scientists exhumed Molly's body to study the effects of long-term radiation. When they opened the lead seal, they recoiled in shock. After 50 years in the dark, Molly Maggio was still glowing. The light hadn't faded. It was as bright as the day she was buried. The soil around the graves was found to be highly radioactive. The ghost had spread into the worms, the grass, and the groundwater. The town was a living memorial to a crime that couldn't be erased. The Radium Girls were still there, shining beneath the feet of the oblivious residents. Today, the site of the old factory is a Superfund wasteland, fenced off and forgotten. But hikers in the area still report seeing strange, green lights dancing in the woods at night. They aren't fireflies. They're the restless spirits of the women who gave their lives for a glow. The horror of the Radium Girls is a real chapter of history, a reminder that the threads of progress are often soaked in the blood of the innocent. They were the first to show the world that some miracles come with a price that can never be paid in full. Their story changed labor laws forever, creating the safety standards we have today. But for the girls in the lead-line coffins, the battle never ended. They're still down there, trapped in a cycle of eternal luminescence, waiting for the 1,600 years to finally pass into darkness. If you ever find yourself in a quiet cemetery in Ottawa, Illinois, and you see a faint green shimmer on the grass, don't walk toward it. Some lights aren't meant to guide you home. They are warnings from the past. The Radium Girls are still watching, and they never forget. The clock is still ticking in the marrow of the earth. Every dial painted, every brush licked, and every bone broken is a stitch in a much larger, darker tapestry. The weaver of industry is always looking for new threads, and the light is always, always hungry.